Hare Rama, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Kripa Sindhu Paditana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Anant Vaishnavind ki jai, Navacharya Haridas Thakur ji ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Good morning, dear devotees. I welcome you all to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. This is Shivani from Nashville, Virginia. Please forgive me for stopping your beautiful chanting. Let us move to our next part of the session, which is Sri Caitanya Bhagavata Adi chapter 14, verses 117 to 118. May I know who I have joined today?
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Preeti Vilasani Devidasi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving me wonderful and beautiful speech. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. So glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirti Rasundari Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Rasundari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you for joining, Mataji, and giving a wonderful and beautiful association. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you for joining and giving a wonderful and beautiful association.
My machine is down. I help you out. When it's up, I go back.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandavat
My
Pranam,
machine
Srila
is
Prabhupada ki.
down. I will come and help you, then I go back.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shama Gauri Devi Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving me a wonderful and beautiful association. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
Dandamat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Gary in Montana. Thank you for allowing me to join.
Hare Krishna, Gary Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much for joining Prabhu and giving a wonderful and beautiful association. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees from Sharjah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving a wonderful and beautiful association. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shishmata Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving a wonderful and beautiful association. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you for joining and giving a wonderful and beautiful association, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Prabhuji, would you first like to record and then we record? You are co-host, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome you all to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call this morning. I would like to start by quote by Srila Prabhupada ji. In your country, the dog is protected and the cow is killed. The dog is passing stool and urine in the street. He is considered the best friend of a man. And the cow is all pure, stool, urine, and milk. But they are taken to the slaughterhouse and killed for food. What kind of civilization is this? Letter to Rupanoga, December 17, 1975. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome all to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Hariparshad Prabhuji. Prabhuji will be enlightening us on Sri Caitanya Bhagavata, chapter 14, verses 117 to 118. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Hariparshad Prabhuji, thank you so much for giving your valuable time and wonderful association this morning. We're waiting eagerly to hear from you, Prabhuji. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, your voice, you're not able to hear.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Shivani Mataji, for kindly introducing and welcoming me here. And thank you to all the wonderful organizers of Bhakti Sangha Japa conference. Thank you to Kirtida Sundari Mataji for kindly inviting me here today to speak something on Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. Thank you to other organizers, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, and the various other devotees who are organizing Bhakti Sangha Japa conference so nicely every day. Today's topic is Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, and it is Adi Khanda, 14th chapter. So we'll begin with our Shisht Parampara, our tradition established by the Acharyas, and we'll perform Mangalacharan. Most of us know these verses already, so you can kindly sing along with me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील वृंदावन दास ठाकुर महाशय की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। So once again, thank you very much, dear devotees, for kindly being present here today. We are discussing Sri Caitanya Bhagavat today, and I would like to begin by sharing my presentation. So we are discussing Sri Caitanya Bhagavat today, and this is the Adi Khanda, 14th chapter, verses 117 and 118. And in these verses, we are going to see what is the importance of Sri Harinam, especially in the life of a devotee named Sri Tapan Mishra. So my thanks again to all the organizers of Bhakti Sangha Japa conference. And we'll begin with the verse which we have to discuss today. So we'll see the verse and translation that is there. The verse and translation are as follows. Sadhya sadhana tattva निरूपिते नारे येन जन नाही तथा जिज्ञासी बेयारे. Translation. He, Tapan Mishra, was confused about the goal of life and the means for attaining it. Moreover, he could not find anyone to clear his confusion. This is verse number 117. Commentary by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. The process by which one attains his desired goal is called sadhan. The devotional scriptures refer to this sadhan as abhidheya. Due to a lack of knowledge concerning one's relationship with the Lord, various new concocted ways of attaining perfection are described and practiced by non-devotees. Austerities, worship, ritualistic ceremonies, vows, Vedic studies, practicing kumbhak, purak, and rechak by controlling the breath. So, kumbhak, purak, and rechak are basically limbs of pranayam. So, filling the lungs and stomach with air, then holding it for some time, and finally letting it go. So these are practices of Ashtanga Yoga, Kumbhak, Purak and Rechak. Offering oblations to one's forefathers, renunciation, asanas, bathing 3 times a day, visiting holy places, meditation and contemplation in order to control the mind, and fruitive deity worship are generally accepted as sadhans by ash-like persons who are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord. These sadhans are simply other means of deceiving the living entities. Actually, only Vaishnavas are qualified to ascertain the goal of life and the process for attaining it. But if persons who are devoid of devotion to Vishnu try to ascertain the process for achieving the goal, there is a great chance of being misguided. Particularly, in comparison, we can see that if one endeavors to ascertain the process for achieving the goal of life with the help of mental speculation, it will invite mistakes, illusions, and obstacles, and one will not reach the eternal ultimate goal of life. While considering the goal of life, the salvationists mistakenly conclude that achieving freedom from the threefold miseries is the sadhya or goal of life. The materialists consider immediate sense gratification is the goal of life, and the salvationists ascertain that merging in the impersonal Brahman is the goal of life. The root of their misconceptions is simply their mistakes and nothing else. The swan-like devotees of the Lord do not follow the conceptions of either the salvationists or the materialists, but accept love of God as the goal of life. They know that both heavenly pleasures and merging into the impersonal Brahman are simply fraud. Since proud scholars of various communities in Bengal, like the materialists, the karmis, and the gyanis, were ignorant about the actual science of sadhya and sadhan, when they are asked about the goal of life and the means for attaining it by the sharply intelligent pious Brahman Tapan Mishra, who was desirous of serving the Lord and most qualified to accept the essence of Vedas and their associate literatures, he could not get a proper answer. So this is the end of commentary on verse 117. Verse 118. निज इष्ट मंत्र सदा जपे रात्रि दिन सोयास्ति नाही कचित्ते साधनांग बेने. He silently chanted his Krishna mantra day and night. But since he was not practicing other important limbs of devotional service, he could not achieve peace. So something seems to be off here in the translation. Kirtida Sundari Mataji, can you hear me? Hare Krishna. Or is there anybody else? Priti Vilasini Mataji, can you
Yes,
hear me?
Prabhu, I can hear you.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. So Mataji, the translation says he silently chanted his Krishna mantra day and night. But since he was not practicing other important limbs of devotional service, he could not achieve peace. So Mataji, chanting will help everybody attain peace, right? But he was, and it is given there, Ratri Dine, day and night. So,
But what I feel is that, yes, he was chanting Krishna mantra, and it says Nija Ishta, means his Ishtadev Krishna mantra he was chanting. But still he was not practicing other important lives of devotional service, and therefore he could not achieve peace.
but
So only
yeah,
chanting, like Rupa Goswami gave 64 limbs of devotional
right.
service and nectar of devotion. And the very first limb is to surrender to spiritual, bona fide spiritual master. And then, of course, the 5 main limbs that we have: Bhagavad Shravan, chanting, Mathura Vas, association of devotees, and Vigraha Seva. So all are equally important, and we should indulge in all the things like Prabhupada used to say, like that we have to do all the limbs of bhakti as far as possible. So just Nirjan Bhajan won't help. We have to engage our limbs also in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. That's what I feel, Prabhu. I don't know.
All right. I mean, he was a Brahmana, so he already got the mantra from his family lineage or so from his school. So he didn't get reinitiated or something from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we have heard in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu that some devotees are ekanga. They practice only one limb. And one limb, and when it says, the 5 limbs are most important, and any one of them can award perfection. So isn't he carrying out one of them?
Yes.
But he's still not achieving peace. So there is something, and the purport, when we read the purport, let's read the commentary, Mataji, and then after reading the commentary, I'll again ask you something. So let's go to the commentary. Commentary by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The word soyasti, a corruption of the Sanskrit word swasti, means steadiness of mind or peacefulness. Though he was day and night engaged in chanting the mantras of his worshipable Lord, he did not achieve peace of mind. All right, so we have the problem now. Problem is clear in front of us. Now, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the solution. In devotional scriptures, there are 64 limbs of sadhan described. And amongst these limbs of sadhan, 5 limbs have been described as the best. Amongst these 5, the topmost limb of sadhan, congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, is the part demonstrated by Sri Chaitanya Chandra. None of the limbs of devotional service can be performed properly until and unless one accepts the support of chanting the holy names. Without sadhana, one can never achieve peace of mind. The purport of this statement is that chanting the holy names, the basis of pleasing Krishna, is the only sadhan. And until one develops love for Krishna, which is the only sadhya, achieving perfection in sadhana is difficult and incomplete. End of commentary. So Mataji, solution is given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In the first line, Mataji, can you please read the first sentence?
None of the limbs of devotional service can be performed properly until and unless one accepts the support of chanting the holy names.
So Mataji, what was Tapan Mishra doing?
He was chanting holy names, Krishna's name only.
So then the solution is the same as the problem.
Yeah.
So when I first read this, I myself, found myself in a difficult situation because the purport is giving a solution, but that solution itself was already being practiced by Sri Tapan Mishra. And still he could not find his way out of the problem. His mind is not at peace. So what is going on here, basically? So if we see, basically it says that he has chanted his Krishna mantra, but he was not practicing. He could not achieve peace. So now what I decided to do is I translated the verse again, and this time more literally. So let's try to see the verse again, this verse again, and let's try to see a more literal translation of the verse. Nija ishta mantra sada jape ratri dine, soyasti nahika chitte sadhananga vine. Nija ishta mantra. He had his Ishtadev, Shri Krishna, and a mantra related to that deity of Shri Krishna. So, Sada Jape, he was constantly chanting Ratri Dine, day and night. Soyasti, Swasti Nahi Kachitte, still he was not happy in his heart. Sadhananga Bine, because he was lacking in limbs of bhakti. So, translation. He performed japa, the original says jape, of the mantra of his worshipable deity day and night. But since he was not practicing the important limbs of sadhana bhakti, sadhananga vinay, he could not achieve peace. Now I am I typed out the original commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on this verse, and I am showing the commentary. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says in Bangla, Soyasti Samskrita Swasti Shabdera Apabhransh. So the term Soyasti is an apabhramsh, is basically derived from the Sanskrit term Swasti. Swasti means, auspiciousness. Swasti means happiness. We could not derive happiness or peace, basically. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, Aharnisha Abhishta Devatara Mantra Japakariya, U Tahare Chitte Shanti Labh Ghate Nai. So Aharnisha, day and night, he chanted his Abhishta Dev mantra, his dear mantra, and he performed japa, but still in his heart, he could not attain peace. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, Bhakti Shastre Chatushashti Prakara Sadhanangera Vishaya Varnam Gache. In the devotional literatures, such as Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, 64 limbs of sadhan bhakti are described. आवार सकल साधनांगेर मध्ये पंच प्रकार साधनांगेर ही श्रेष्ठता वर्णित हय्या छे. And amongst all the limbs of sadhan bhakti, 5 limbs, sadhu sanga, nam kirtan, bhagavat shravan, mathuravaas, and murti sevan, Shri Murti sevan. These are 5 most important. Shreshtata varnita hayach. There, they are highlighted. These 5 are highlighted as the greatest. Tanmadhe, and amongst even these 5, Sarva Shrestha Sadhananga, the highest limb of sadhana bhakti, Shri Nam Sankirtana is certainly Shri Nam Sankirtana. Shri Chaitanya Chandrera Pradarshita Path. This is the path shown by Shri Chaitanya Chandra. Then he says, Bhaktira Kona Anga is Sushtu Bhave Sadhita Haite Parena. Any limb of bhakti will not be carried out nicely. Ye kale, till the time. Na, evam yadina, and till Shri Nama Sankirtaner Sahaya Grahana Karaha. Till the time and until one accepts the help of Shri Nama Sankirtan, any other limb of bhakti will not be fruitful. Then he says, Sadhana Vyatita Chitte Kakhano Shanti Labh Ghatena. So, devoid of such sadhan, his heart could not attain peace. Then Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, Ei Katha Balivar Tatparya Ei. The entire moral of the story behind this pastime is, Ye Krishna Priti Mulak Shri Nama Kirtani Ekmatra Sadhan. So, the only sadhan in this age of Kali is Shri Krishna Kirtan, which leads to Krishna Priti, love of Krishna. Evam, and Tad Dwara, through that Krishna Kirtan, Ekmatra Satya, there is only one thing to be attained. What is that? Krishna Premar Labh. That is attainment of Krishna Prem. Na hoya, Paryanta, till that time Krishna Prem is not attained. Sadhane Siddhi Labh Duruha. Till that time one has not attained perfection in his sadhana. Utatha Asampurna Matra, and one's sadhana is incomplete. So, let's summarize the situation of Shri Tapan Mishra. Shri Tapan Mishra was a Brahmana. His very surname tells us that he was a Brahmana by birth. He was given a Vaishnav mantra. I am highlighting the term, I am speaking the term Vaishnav mantra of his Ishtadev by his Guru. So he was given a mantra to chant. What is the meaning of mantra? Mantra basically refers to those incantations which are chanted silently. He was a Brahmana and he was performing mantra japa daily. Every day he was performing japa of this mantra. He was not performing any other limb of bhakti because he did not have much of an idea of the various limbs. So he was trying to find somebody who could explain to him, how to get out of this difficulty. So he has now approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was in Bangladesh at that time when he met Tapan Mishra and was preparing to go back to Navadvip. So before he left for Navadvip, Sri Tapan Mishra met him. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will tell him of the importance of executing Nam Sankirtan. So there is a person who is performing mantra japa, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will instructing about Nam Sankirtan. So Kirtida Sundari Mataji, once again, there is some difference highlighted between mantra japa and Nam Sankirtan here. So I hope I am able to convey this point clearly.
Yes, Prabhuji. So it's
Right.
Vaishnava mantra is just like the Diksha mantras that we chant.
Yeah, so he has received some, because he's a Brahmana by birth, he has received some second initiation Krishna mantras. What we call second initiation, they had that during their Brahman initiation itself. He has received some Vaishnava mantra and he is performing japa of that mantra, and he has increased that japa to an extent that he is doing it day and night, but he is not feeling satisfied, so he is approaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will instruct him about Nam Sankirtan. So this is what is the sum and substance of the entire story. So I hope this is clear enough, Kirtida Sundari Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, but this again gives rise to another question, that even Gop Kumara only chanted the Kama Gayatri mantra, Krishna mantra, Kama Gayatri mantra. He also didn't go for this Nam Sankirtan, but still he achieved the highest goal of life.
Yes, we see Gopakumara at a stage when he has already attained perfection and is rising up. So we don't see Gopakumara ever in a stage where he is affected by aparads. But we see Tapan Mishra in a different situation. We see Tapan Mishra in the situation of a struggling sadhaka. So that marks the difference between Gopakumar and Shri Tapan Mishra. So let's continue so that we'll have more clarity. We should understand that there are two different terms used in Shastra. One is Kirtan, one is Japa. In English, sometimes both get loosely translated as chanting. However, these two are two different technical terms in Shastra. Kirtan is a different term, Japa is a different term. In fact, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami has put Kirtan as a separate limb of Bhakti, Japa as a separate limb of Bhakti. First and foremost, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami defines what is Kirtan. Sri Rupa Goswami says, Naam Leela Gunadinam Uchchair Bhasha tu Kirtanam. So, Uchchair Bhasha, audible glorification of Nama, the name, Leela, pastimes, Guna, qualities, Adi, etc. of Bhagavan is known as Kirtanam. This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is limb number 33 of 64. Devotees, kindly note, immediate next limb is Japa, limb number 34. Sri Rupa Goswami puts Japa as a limb separate from Kirtan. Sri Rupa Goswami defines Japa. Mantrasya sulaghu uchcharo Japa ityabhidhiyate. Mantrasya sulaghu uchchara. Sulaghu uchchara. Su, laghu, super soft, uchchara, utterance. Super soft utterance. So that only we can ourselves hear. Nobody else can hear. Of a mantra is known as Japa. So mantrasya, sulaghu uchchara. Japa is mainly used in context of a mantra. So mantra is basically something which a guru bestows upon the disciple during second initiation, Brahmin initiation, and to chant that in a low volume so that only we can hear is technically known as Japa. And what is expected from Nama? Nama is names of Bhagavan. So what is expected is Kirtanam. So with Nam goes with Kirtanam, mantra goes with Japa, dear devotees. Although we chant Japa also of Nam, I understand. But the main purpose of Nam in the age of Kali is Kirtana. And the main purpose of mantra in all ages is Japa. Therefore, we will see that even in our society, ISKCON, when we perform Kirtan, we don't perform Kirtan of the second initiation mantras. We don't chant the second initiation mantras loudly, not on the street, distributing them to anyone and everyone freely. But we perform Nama Kirtan. So there is a difference between the term Nama and mantra. Nama is names of Bhagavan, which anyone can freely chant. So sometimes even initiation is not needed for chanting Nam. Let me give an example of chanting Nam Kirtan. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari. So, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, does chanting this require initiation into this song?
No, Prabhuji.
So, this is which type of Kirtan, Mataji? Nam Kirtan or Mantra Kirtan?
Nama Kirtan.
Nam Kirtan. Now, second initiation, we get various mantras. One of the mantra is Kam Gayatri and many other mantras are there. But that mantra is chanted as Japa, Su Laghu Uchcharam. This is limb number 34 of 64. So 33rd is Kirtan, 34th is Japa. When the Acharyas themselves have distinguished between Kirtan and Japa, it is also our responsibility to maintain that distinction. Otherwise, both of them get loosely translated sometimes as chanting. So Japa also gets translated as chanting. Kirtan also gets translated as chanting. But we should be careful that we should see what is the original term. Because right now we had a confusion some time ago because Shri Tapan Mishra was chanting and the purport said the solution is chanting. So he's already chanting. So what is the solution? So the original verse said that he was performing Japa. And the solution in the original Bengali is Shri Nam Sankirtan. And that is how we are able to resolve the contradiction, so-called apparent contradiction that arose. So it's very important to distinguish between these two limbs. We have the definition of these two now. Now we should always remember, whenever we are uttering the name, not only name, pastimes also, qualities also of Bhagavan, audibly so that a second person can hear us, loud enough so that some other person can hear us, that is known as Kirtanam. And when we are muttering it so softly that nobody else can hear us, only we can hear ourselves, like we do our second initiation mantras, that is known as Japa. So dear devotees, this distinction we should always remember to avoid confusion. And whenever we see in English chanting, we should refer to the original and check whether it is Kirtanam or whether it is Japa. Now, we saw Japa and Kirtan, but there is something known as Samkirtan. So sometimes Sankirtan, Anukirtan, Anu Sankirtan, such terms are used. So what is the meaning of Sankirtan? Sri Jiva Goswami says in the Bhakti Sandarbha, Bahubhir Militva Kirtanam, Sankirtanam iti uchyate. Bahubhir Militva Kirtanam. When Kirtanam is performed, Bahubhir Militva, together with multiple individuals, Sankirtanam ityuchyate. It becomes known as Sankirtanam. So Bahubhir is plural. In Sanskrit, plural is minimum 3 people. So minimum for Sankirtan, there should be 3 people. So 3 people are performing Kirtan together in a single place. It becomes known as Sankirtan. This is Bhakti Sandarbha. So Kirtan is any audible glorification a second person can also hear. Sometimes a person may be sitting alone in a room. Nobody else may be there. He may be chanting loudly, may be performing loud Kirtan. So still that is known as Kirtan because another person can hear. Because another person, if they are present, then they can hear. But if a person is chanting so softly that another person cannot hear, then that is known as Japa. So this is the difference between Japa, Kirtan and Sankirtan. Sankirtan is a variety of kirtan which is performed with multiple. As I said, multiple in Sanskrit begins with 3. Now, in Shastra, there are some rules for mantra japa. Now we know what is the term mantra japa. Shri Tapan Mishra is performing mantra japa. So, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Gopal Bhatt Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, they say, Kalosti dane yagye cha, snane kalosti sajjape. Kalosti dane. There is some prescribed time for dan, giving charity. Giving charity, there is some prescribed time. Like you give charity during Akshay Tritiya. Akshay Tritiya is a very auspicious date which arrives every year. Giving charity on that day, it makes your charity, multifold, gives multifold result. So there are prescribed times. Kalosti dane, yagyecha. There are prescribed times for Vedic sacrifice. You don't perform Vedic sacrifice, most in the dead of the night. So snane kalosti, there is a prescribed time for snana, taking bath, and sajjape, and there is a time for soft chanting of mantras. So this is regarding the second initiation mantras. There is a time for that. So what is the time? So Hari Bhakti Vilas itself says, Trishu Sandhyashu Samyapi Japet, that the mantra should be chanted during the 3 sandhyas. So that is what we chant our second initiation mantra during 3 sandhyas, 3 times of the day. So there is a rule for chanting mantra japa. There is a rule for mantra japa. And there are further rules also given for different mantras. For example, for mantra japa, for second initiation mantras, it is said, Pratah snanadikam kritva datva chargyam vivasvate. First, Pratah snanadikam kritva. Chanting of mantra should be done after taking a bath. So you can't chant your second initiation mantras if you have not taken a bath. And Datva Charkyam Vivasvate, and offering ablution waters to the sun. This is what Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas says. There is also a specific number given. How many times should we chant? So the Hari Bhakti Vilas says, Dashadha Japet. So Kama Gayatri, every second initiation mantra should be chanted 10 times. So thrice a day, and every time you sit, 10 times. So 10 times, 10 times, 10 times. So chant the Kama Gayatri 10 times. Dashadha Japet. You see, so many rules are there for mantra japa. And I have just brought out few of the rules. Few of the rules. So many other rules are there for mantra japa. And Shri Tapan Mishra was trying to follow all these rules for mantra japa. Because Brahmana. And so many Pandits instructed him to chant the mantra japa nicely. But his mind is not attaining peace, because he is getting stuck in these rules and regulations, unable to come out of the rules and regulations. And therefore, his mind is not experiencing the result of mantra japa. So he has approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will instruct him about Shri Nam. Because in Shri Nam, all these rules for mantra japa are dropped out. Shri Sanatan Goswami says in the commentary to 11th chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilas, Brahme muhurte uttanato naktam shayana paryante nija karmani tatha Shri Bhagavatah prabodhanato naktam sthapana paryante seva prakare cha sarvatraiva vigna nivarakataya nyuna sampurni karakatvena पूजांगतया तथा सर्वकर्मणां गुण विशेषापादकतया तथा स्वतः परम फल रूपतया चादौ मध्ये चान्ते च श्री भगवान नाम कीर्तनम कुर्यात्. What does Sri Sanatan Goswami say about Shri Nam? No such rules. Brahme muhurte, one should perform kirtan of Shri Bhagwan Nam. See here, we go back and see the last kirtanam kuryat. See the last term, Shri Bhagwan Nama kirtanam kuryat. So with Nam, automatically what aligns is Kirtan. And with Mantra, what automatically aligns is Japa. So one should perform Kirtan of Shri Bhagavan Nam from the time one wakes up at Brahma Muhurta till sleeping time. No restriction. There was a restriction on mantra. It was to chant thrice a day, but no restriction here. One should perform Nam Kirtan during all sevas, beginning from waking up the Lord, all the way until putting the Lord to rest. One should perform such Kirtan to drive away all obstacles in seva. All obstacles in seva will be driven away if one simply performs Nam Sankirtan, Nam Kirtan, while performing puja. So while performing puja, one is usually alone, so it is not Sankirtan, it is Nam Kirtan. So one can perform Nam Kirtan when one is performing puja. Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. With a joyous mind, one should perform Nam Kirtan. And by this, all obstacles are driven away. And one should do so to ensure that anything lacking is taken care of. Sri Sanatana Goswami says, if anything is lacking, for example, you forgot something while doing puja, so that will be taken care of by Nam Sankirtan, Nam Kirtan. Mantratas tantratas chidram deshakalarha vastutah sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. Mantratas chidram. There may be, Srimad Bhagavatam 8th canto says, mantratas chidram. There may be, imperfections in chanting mantra japa. But sarvam karoti nischidram. Everything will be made perfect by anusankirtanam tava, by performing Nam Sankirtan, Nam Kirtan. And to supplement the various limbs of puja as well. So every time we are offering something, so let's say we offer a flower, pushpam samarpayami, gandham samarpayami, dhupam samarpayami. We offer flower, we offer incense. So, idam bhagavate, idam namama. This is for Bhagavan. Idam Krishnaya, idam namama. So while offering also, we are chanting Shri Krishna's names. So as well as to bring divine qualities in all activities of one's puja. And everything will be made divine when it is replete with Bhagavan Nam Kirtan. Besides this, one should perform Nam Kirtan in beginning, middle and end of all activities to bestow the highest result upon oneself. So beginning of all activities, middle of all activities, end of all activities. Perform Nam Kirtan freely, dear devotees. No restriction. In fact, select the Nam which you love. Select the Nam which you like. Kirtida Sundari Mataji. From all the names of all the pastimes of Krishna that you like, please select one name and tell us which name do you like the most.
Radha Govinda.
So while performing all activities, you can chant with great taste. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe. So this is Nam Kirtan in all activities. Once, many years ago, 10 years ago, I visited Shri Vrindavan Dham, and we were staying in an ashram which was being managed by sadhus from the Ramanandi Sampradaya. And every day they used to have sadhu bhoj, means prasadam for the sadhus. And we also gave them some dakshina and said, please allow us to have sadhu bhoj, prasadam with you. So we sat down and they were bringing plates. So with every prasadam, every food item that they are bringing, they are inserting the name of Ram. So for water is known as Pani. So they are coming Pani Ram, Pani Ram, Pani Ram, Chawal Ram, Chawal Ram, Dal Ram, Dal Ram. So like this. So in everything they have inserted the names. In fact, this name was inserted so much that in the northern part of India, Many names in the previous generation ended with Ram. Sevaram, Tularam. So they inserted it in everything, basically. So this is how, like salt, it should mix with all the activities of the day. Dear devotees, this is what Sri Sanatan Goswami. Now we understand the difference between mantra japa and nam kirtan. So this is what is expected. What is the yuga dharma of the age of Kali? Kirtida Sundari Mataji, what is the yuga dharma? Mantra japa or nam kirtan?
Nam Kirtan.
So this is the yuga dharma for the age of Kali. And Sri Tapan Mishra was not performing this yuga dharma before he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, the unhappiness in his heart he is experiencing. Now, sometimes people say that even in Nam Kirtan, we will tell you which Nam Kirtan you have to perform. And only this Nam you should chant. So this is not the mood of the Acharyas. Acharyas say, you have japa of your mantra, like we have japa of Nam also, we have japa of mantra also. So you chant your prescribed japa, which is ordered by the Guru. If Guru says chant 16 rounds of Nam on the beads, so we chant 16 rounds of Nam japa. Then if we are second initiated, we chant our Gayatri japa. Then after that, it is up to us what Nam we want to chant. The Hari Bhakti Vilas very clearly says, Sarvartha Shakti Yuktasya Deva Devasya Chakrinah Yaccha Bhiruchitam Nama Tat Sarvartheshu Yojayet. Sarvartha Shakti Yuktasya. The Supreme Lord is Sarvartha Shakti Yukta, is all powerful in all ways. Deva Devasya, his Supreme Lord, Chakrinaha, because he holds the chakra in his hands. Nobody else could hold the chakra. One time Abhimanyu Ashwathama tried to hold the chakra. He failed. So nobody else can hold the chakra. Shri Krishna holds. He's all powerful. Yaccha Abhiruchitam Nama, and whichever Nam belonging to him is Abhiruchitam. Abhi means all round, completely. Ruchitam, dear to oneself. Tat Sarvartheshu Yojet. Use it in all activities and purposes. Employ that Nam in all activities and purposes. So if you like, Radha Govinda, whatever we are doing, chant Radha Govinda. Why Abhiruchitam Nam? Why Abhiruchitam Nam? Why not one prescribed name? Sri Sanatan Goswami, you should give one name for everybody. No. Different devotees love different names of Bhagavan. The only condition is that these names should be Mukhya Nam. They should be derived from the main pastimes of Bhagavan. Not Gaun Nam, not secondary names like Paramatma, Antaryami, not secondary names, direct names. Jai Radha Madhav, Kunja Bihari, Gopi Janavallabh, Girivaradhari, Yashodanandan, Braja Janaran, Yamunatira Vanachari. So, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, once again, I want to ask you a question. In all the temples in the world, the Mangal Aarti is the same. But in Vrindavan temple, there is a slightly different Mangal Aarti. What is different about the Mangal Aarti in Vrindavan temple?
They sing Vibhavari Shesha Loka Pravesha, the Nam Kirtan.
So, but Mataji, why chant so many names? One name should be sufficient, right?
Yeah, again it says, yeah, Abhiruchitam, like somebody likes whatever name. So.
Yes. We could have, Mataji, replaced all Aartis with one mantra. We could have replaced all Aartis with the Maha Mantra. Why chant Aartis in the first place? Aartis are containing different names. But we could have replaced them with one mantra. But no. Yaccha Abhiruchitam Nama. The whole point is, what Nam is Abhiruchitam? What Nam is dear to us? And we don't need to tell anybody else what is our Abhiruchitam Nama. We can keep it with ourselves. But Tat Sarvartheshu Yojet. Always sing it. Sing in all ways this particular Nam. Ajamil's Abhiruchitam Nam was Narayan because that was the name of his son. But we should select a name which is directly addressing Shri Krishna, which brings a very sweet memory of Shri Krishna within us, which is very dear to us. So this is what is required. If an entire box of sweets is given to us, which sweet will we select? This verse is like that, a box of sweets, and you are given the freedom to select the sweet that you want. And select that sweet and eat it wherever you go. Happily eat it. And sometimes you feel, okay, some other name is appealing more to me now. No problem. Abhiruchitam, whatever name gives pleasure to you, sing that name constantly. Now, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, does it sound easier to sing constantly Bhagavan's Naam?
Yes, Prabhuji. Very easy.
Now you can easily try to aim for Kirtaniyah Sada Harihi. That always 24 hours you can perform Shri Hari Kirtan. Now you can try to aim for that. Because if I give one regimented, Naam, this is the only Naam that everybody should chant, no other Naam, then people will think the Naam itself is not right now appearing Abhiruchitam to me. So how can I chant it constantly? In order to chant constantly, relish constantly, I should have some taste in it. So therefore, Abhiruchitam Naam. So it's a buffet. Select whichever one you want and chant it as much as possible. Perform Kirtan. But in Naam also, there is a consideration of some aparats. Sometimes devotees perform japa of Naam, silent chanting of Naam. So in that also there is some consideration of aparats when it comes to Naam. In mantra, there are so many considerations. 99.9% considerations are removed in Naam. But in Naam also there is consideration of aparats. So the Hari Bhakti Vilas says, Sarvaparad kridapi muchyate hari samshrayat harerapyaparadhanya kuryad vipadapam sava namashrayah kadachit syat taratyeva sanamatah namnopi sarva suhrido hyaparadhat patatyadha. Sarva aparadha kridapi. A person may have committed all other offenses. All other offenses means offenses besides Naam aparadh, offenses besides aparadh to Bhagavan Krishna. He might have committed all other offenses. But muchyate, he is freed from all other offenses, Hari Samshraya, by taking shelter of Shri Hari. Now, Harerapi aparadhanya. Now, Hari may protect somebody from all other aparadhs, but after getting free of those aparadhs, that fool ends up committing aparadh towards Hari, who freed him. Kuryat, one who does so, dvipada pamsava. He's a two-legged fool actually. So it's like somebody was, sentenced to death by a high court. And then he took shelter of the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court released him. And as soon as he was released, that fool ended up offending the judge of the Supreme Court who has released him. This person is Dvipada Pamsa, two-legged fool. Now still, even if such a person offends Hari himself, who has freed him from other aparadhs, Namashrayah kadachit syat tarati evaha sanamata. Sometimes such a person can become freed by taking shelter, exclusive shelter of Hari Naam. Sometimes it happens that a person who has committed offense towards Hari becomes freed from that offense by taking shelter of Hari Naam. For example, somebody may be, sentenced to death by the Supreme Court. But here in India, even after being sentenced to death, the president can still finally relieve him. So higher than the High Court is Supreme Court, and higher than the Supreme Court is sometimes President's judgment. But Namnopi Sarva Surido Aparadhat. Now, if somebody ends up committing aparadh towards Naam, Patatyada, then nobody can save him. He'll definitely fall down. So this sequence is described in the verse. A person who has committed all other aparadhs, recites Naam aparadh, gets relief of them by taking shelter of Hari. However, if one ends up committing offenses towards Hari himself, then such a person is a two-legged coarse fool. Now, it may be possible that in some cases, such an offender of Hari may be delivered by taking shelter of Hari Naam. However, if one ends up committing offenses against the all-merciful Hari Naam, then one's fall down is certain. So, the purpose for which this verse was written is to show that, Hari Naam is much more merciful than other processes. In other processes, there is immense consideration of aparadhs. Harinam protects you from all of them, plus, Harinam drives them all out. But now you should be careful that at least towards Harinam, we don't commit offenses. So there are 10 Nam aparadhas that are to be considered in Harinam. Most of us know what are the 10 offenses towards Harinam. So, what removes Nam aparadhas is also specified by Sri Sanatan Goswami in the same Hari Bhakti Vilas. He says, Jate nama paradhepi pramadena kathanchana sada sankirtayan nama tadeka sharano bhavet. Jate nam aparadhepi. Sometimes somebody may commit nam aparadh. And Nam was all merciful, it was freeing you from all other aparadhs. And you ended up committing an aparadh towards Nam itself. Pramadena, by your mistake, by some misfortune, somehow it happened. What is the solution? Sada sankirtayan nama tadeka sharano bhavet. Become sheltered one-pointedly in Nam. While sada sankirtayan, while constantly performing sankirtan. I told you what is sankirtan. Shri Jiva Goswami says, Bahubir militva kirtanam sankirtan. So, perform sankirtan of Nam, which means perform audible glorification of Nam in association of sadhus who are higher than us. Translation: even if Nam aparadhs have somehow occurred due to some mistake, one should take exclusive shelter of Nam while performing continuous sankirtan of that Nam. So, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, how will sankirtan help relieve Nam aparadhas? Mataji, can you please, try to throw some light?
Not as such, but what I feel when congregationally, when we chant, then of course the vibration, the potency is much more higher than we alone chanting.
All right. Mataji, what I had heard when I just heard it in English, this thing, I heard that the solution to offensive chanting is more chanting. Have you heard this?
Yes, probably a lot of time.
So Mataji, one of the offenses is to be inattentive.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So Mataji, the solution to inattentive chanting is more inattentive chanting. Did I get it correct? So when the acharyas are using these terms, they are being very specific. There is some very specific term being used. When we perform japa of Nam, solitary japa of Nam, there is possibility of aparadhs. When we perform kirtan and nobody else is there, there is possibility of aparadhs. But sankirtan and sada sankirtayan Nam, tadeka sharano bhavet, and become one-pointedly sheltered in Shri Nam. So when the acharyas say sankirtan, they want to tell us something. What do the acharyas want to tell us? That we perform sankirtan of Nam in association with somebody who is already an anuragi bhakta, who is already a devotee who has attained the higher stages of bhakti and who is Nam anuragi, dham anuragi. I am not saying by my mental speculation. I am saying because this praman is there by our acharyas themselves. In the Upadeshamritam, Srila Rupa Goswami, when he instructs about Kirtan of Nam, in the 8th verse, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, do you know the 8th verse, Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi?
I don't
Sukirtananu.
know by heart, but I know that verse.
Okay, so I'll recite the verse. Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityoh Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya. So Tan Nama Rupa Charit. So the name, form, qualities, and other things, pastimes, associates, etc. Sukirtan, one should perform nice kirtan. Anusmrityo, and one should perform nice smarana, or nice remembrance of all of that. But how should one perform? Tishthan Vraje, while residing mentally or physically in Vraja. Tad Anuragi Jana Anugami. And while following Vraj Anuragi, Krishna Anuragi Janas, that Sankirtan is desirable. When we perform Sankirtan in association with pure-hearted sadhus, who are free from the tendency to critique others, who are one-pointedly dedicated to Shri Vrajadham, Shri Harinam, who are Namanishta, who understand the Mahatva of Shri Nam as it is revealed in the Shastra. Then in association of such sadhus, Sada Sankirtayan Nama, perform constant Sankirtan in association of such sadhus. Now, Mataji, does it sound easier to get relief from all Namapradas?
Yes, Prabhuji. Little, but again, where do we find such sadhus?
Well, these literatures were written in the very place where such sadhus are to be found.
Vrajdham, yes.
So, these literatures were written with the aim of instructing candidates who have given up everything to arrive in Shri Vrindavan Dham. Upadeshamritam, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. So mentally, at least, we should stay in Shri Vrindavan. And we should try to associate with sadhus who are of that level of nishtha in Shri Nam, Shri Dham. And Sada Sankirtayan. Always perform Sankirtan in association of such sadhus. Tadeka Sharano Bhavet. In this way, become one-pointedly dedicated to Shri Harinam. This will be Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Shri Tapan Mishra. And Shri Tapan Mishra will receive this instruction and his life will become successful. So from mantra japa, he is going to make a big leap into Shri Nam Sankirtan. And this big leap will help him perfect all other limbs of bhakti that he is performing in his life. So dear devotees, I would like to end this particular presentation with a very sweet verse. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 6th chapter, there is the pastime of Putana's killing described. And when Putana is killed, at that time, what happens is they all see baby Krishna on the body of Putana. And they bring baby Krishna from that dead body. And Mother Yashoda, she applies Gobar Tilak, cow dung tilak, on the various body parts of Krishna. And they are using the cow's tail, in order to drive away all evils from Krishna. So when this happens, Mother Yashoda is applying tilak on Bhagwan's head, Keshavaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha. She is applying tilak in different places. At that time, the devotee poet Sri Hari Suri, he gives a very sweet verse. He says, Bhagavam stvadapekshayapi shaktis tavanamne prabaleti manmahe trijagat krita rakshanasya tepi Yadabhudrakshanakari gokule. Bhagavan, Twadapekshaya shaktis tava namni prabaleti manmahe. Oh Bhagavan Krishna, we understood. Tava namni, in your names, shaktis prabala. There is more strength than you. Your names are stronger than you, Krishna. Although many people were saying your names are non-different from you. Manmahe, I, Harisuri say, I believe firmly, your name is more powerful than you. Why? Because Trijagatakrita Rakshanasya tepi yadabhud rakshanakari gokule. You may be protecting the three worlds, but when you were in danger, the gopis protected you by chanting your name. So Bhagavan hence proved that your name is more powerful than you. O Krishna, it is now proved that your names have greater power than you. You may be the protector of the three worlds, but these names ended up protecting even you in Gokula. So dear devotees, with this I'd like to pause my presentation. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvam saha purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad guroreva me nahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. If there are any mistakes in what I said, obviously there have to be many mistakes in the presentation of a person who is affected by 4 defects. So I am one such person. But vidvam saha, you are all learned devotees, purayantu tat. So please correct these mistakes. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit. But if there was anything nice in the presentation, then please know that tad guroreva. It belongs to my Gurujanas. May nahi. It doesn't belong to me. So thank you very much, dear devotees. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahasaya ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. What an amazing class and so much clarity on these different terminologies and knowing how to use them. So thank you. And it was it was a very unique class, Prabhu. So really, really grateful to you for throwing this class. Hare Krishna. So we can now open up the forum for question and answers. We first have His Grace Balram Prasad Prabhu. So Prabhu, you can go ahead.
Dandavat Pranam, Hariparshad Prabhu.
My pranam.
It was a pleasure always to talk to you, see you, and hear from you, actually. Thank you so much. Prabhu, I have this, you have given a very detailed explanation of mantra. It's confusing sometimes. The japa is thus a mantra or is it a kirtan, right? Because people, all of us will say it has to be loud chanting. Otherwise, sometimes we don't, right? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. At least not like that. We'll say, we'll just do in the mind. So basically, that's the question to me. And even some people were explaining, no, mantra means it has to be in the mind, but it is not, right? Based on your explanation. So please.
Wonderful. So when we say mantra, this japa of mantra, is it in the mind or is it loudly? What is it exactly, basically? So it's explained by Sri Sanatan Goswami in Hari Bhakti Vilas very nicely that actually japa is of 3 types, and I will share my screen to explain this, and you can have a look at the screen. So Sri Sanatan Goswami says in Hari Bhakti Vilas that japa is of 3 types: Vachik jap, Upamshu jap, Manasik jap. What is Vachik jap? Wherein your lips are opening and closing distinctly. It is being heard by a second person. Your hand is in the bead bag. So Vachik jap, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Others were able to hear me. My mouth is moving clearly. This is Vachik jap. Second is Upamshu. Upamshu means silent, only I should be able to hear. So, if I simply chant so that I can hear, nobody else should be able to hear. Most of us were not able to hear the words, most of the words that I spoke. This is Upamshu Japa. I was able to hear. Third is Mansik. Mansik, nothing comes out of the mouth. I visualize the syllables of the mantra in front of me. Mansik doesn't mean that, you just in the mind the sound is going on. Not only the sound, but the syllables of the mantra also have to be visualized. And and we focus on the syllables. This is Mansik Japa. Now Vachik is loud. Oh, so then, why is it called Japa? So then Sri Sanatan Goswami explains in the commentary. Vachik upamshu mansika bhedena trividasya japasya madhye. These are the three divisions of japa. Trividasya japasya madhye. These are three divisions of japa. Ishad oshtha chalanena shanair uchcharana upamshu japo atra grahya. Actually, japa is upamshu. He says. Actually, what is japa? 100% japa is upamshu. That is traditionally, technically, that is japa. Which means where only you can hear and it is very soft utterance. That is actually japa. So what is Vachik and Mansik? Are they not japa? He said they are also japa, but he says Vachikasya kirtan antargatatvat. Vachika falls in the category of kirtan. And Manasikasya cha smaranatmakatvat. And Manasika falls in the category of smaran. So therefore, Prabhu, all these are also japa. But loud japa actually is kirtan. So coming back to you, Prabhu, when you perform loud japa, what are you actually performing, Balram Prasad, Prabhu? Please tell me.
Vachika.
And Vachika japa is nothing else, but it's falling in which category?
That's actually a kirtan.
Yes, perfect. And if you don't open your mouth at all and you mentally visualize the syllables, then which type of japa and which category does it fall in, Prabhu?
Manasika, and it is japa, purely japa.
Right, but it is like Vachika is kirtan. So Manasika is smaran.
Smaran, yes.
So then what is japa which is unmixed with kirtan and smaran? Which type of japa is unmixed with kirtan or smaran?
I forgot that second one, but that's second one.
Upamshu.
Upamshu, yeah.
So that actually, Prabhu, is japa.
So it's only me, I hear myself, but not to the others. At least but still I need to pronounce. Only I can hear.
Yeah, so your lips should slightly move. Ishad Oshta Chalan. Lips slightly move. Only you should be able to hear. Solitary activity. But when you make it a public activity, then it falls in the category of kirtan. For japa, there are rules. Sit in one place. So, take a bath, everything. Kirtan, there are no rules. But since it is Hare Krishna Mahamantra, for japa also no rules, for kirtan also no rules. We don't follow any of those traditional rules for Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But I hope this distinction helps clarify why sometimes we chant loudly. Although it is known as japa, technically what we are performing is kirtan. So I hope this helps resolve your query.
Prabhu, this is the first time I heard with so much clarity. Thank you so much for it. Really appreciate it. Hari Hari.
Mataji, you can ask your question.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for, again, a very unique and wonderful session. We really wait, especially myself, I'll really wait for your classes. And it's so hard to get you these days because of your busy schedule. But thank you so much for coming and sharing such wonderful realizations. I have one question about Sankirtan, as you said. So Sang also, like what I heard is Sankirtan can also be applied to a single person, single devotee chanting japa, maybe a Vachik, not a Pamsu, but a Vachik, and how it is being explained. I heard it from some devotee. And it said that Sankirtan can be applied to Samyak Rupena, like together with involving your mind, body, and words, like Karmana Vacha Samana. So that is also known as Sankirtan. So how far it is okay to understand it?
All right. So some devotee, and my respects to that devotee, who said that Sankirtan means Samyak Kirtan. So when I defined Sankirtan, I made it a point that I will stick to Shri Jiva Goswami, because then in my mind, there are clear distinctions between Japa, Kirtan and Sankirtan. And I want to keep those distinctions because the Acharyas have kept those distinctions. Now, if somebody defines Sankirtan means Samyak, complete Kirtan, which means your body, your words, mind and everything should be there. Your words, your mind, your ear should be there. Then Japa will also become Sankirtan. Is it not, Mataji? If
Yes,
concentrated Japa.
yes,
Yes.
that's what it has been said, that japa, silent person silently chanting japa is also categorized as Sankirtan.
Then there will be apatti. Apatti means there will be a new problem. Then why did Sri Rupa Goswami put Japa and Kirtan as two separate lists? See,
Yes.
it is good to give a explanation based on one's realization. But a mature explanation is that which does not contradict the existing words of the previous acharyas. Therefore, it is sometimes we have to first hear what the others have said before we give some explanation from our side. So that is what I would say. If, however, if there is any such reference, I have not come across any such reference till now, where Japa is also known as Sankirtan, then I would like to see, I would be most surprised if after so many references of the Acharyas, one of the Acharya ends up mixing Japa with Sankirtan. I doubt that it is there, but still I will keep one small window open. If somebody ever sees such an explanation, they can send it to me. But otherwise, Mataji, with the distinctions that the Acharyas have given, as I told you today, does that make matters clear for you?
Yes, 100%, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Really, really grateful to you.
Yes. So let's keep that clarity, because we are sure it has come from our Acharyas. So there is nothing to doubt in this, Mataji.
Yes.
And everybody can verify these references. No problem. Verify all of these references, dear devotees. Cross-check. Whatever I am giving, cross-check. And if you find an error, let me know, so I will improve. Right?
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Really grateful to you.
Correct.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Wonderful. Vrishali Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I hope you're doing well.
I'm
So I
doing
have
good.
two very small questions. First is, I wanted to know what happens when you commit an aparad unknowingly. Like, do you still get punished for the same?
So
If any aparad is...
aparad basically is an offense, and the result of aparad is not punishment. The result of aparad is delay in attainment of the goal. What is the goal? Krishna Prem. Whatever we are doing is for one ultimate goal, Krishna Prem. Aparads delay one's attainment of the goal. Sometimes aparads give some negative reaction, some unhappiness in life, but the main result of aparad is delay. So unknowingly, if it is committed, there are many remedies to counteract that. And knowingly, if it is committed, then it is more serious. But still, there are remedies. Sankirtan, loud, audible chanting in the association of those who are pure and dedicated to Shri Nam and Shri Vrindavan Dham. So those types of sadhus we have to find. Maybe find not rubber stamped and 10 people said this person is dedicated, so you go there. No, not like that. We have to ourselves stay in the association and check if such a sadhu is able to bring transformation within our lives regarding Harinam. So not somebody's rubber stamp that 10 people said, oh, this sadhu is senior, you go and associate with him or her. And not like that. Sometimes what we do is we have a sheep mentality, that because 10 people are saying this sadhu is good, so I will go and, maybe genuinely, maybe that sadhu is good. But maybe that sadhu is not sajatiya, not like-minded. So we not only have to find a sadhu, but a sadhu who is like-minded, who is willing to instruct us nicely. So when that type of a sadhu is found, then we have to associate with such a sadhu and perform Sankirtan. And when you perform such a Sankirtan, automatically the sadhu will ensure that in his association, all other aparads are reduced to zero. and then you are able to chant Harinam freely. So that is what it is. I hope this helps in your query.
Yes. And just second question is also very small. I had a question about the 16 rounds of chanting. So I just wanted to know if we are supposed to chant all 16 like in one sitting, or is it okay if we spread it throughout like the day? Or that is that also considered as aparadha?
No, there is no such aparadh that you spread it out over the day. But there is recommendation. There is no rule. There is a recommendation that you chant with as much concentration as possible. So ideally in the morning time, the distractions are minimum. So it is recommended to chant during that time. After a certain time in the morning, the distractions increase. You can start hearing the vehicles on the street. If you are in India, you can start hearing the vehicles on the street. Everybody in the home starts getting ready. So the disturbances slightly increase during that time of the day. So the recommendation, not a rule, not a compulsory rule, the recommendation is to chant your japa as early as possible. If it is not possible, it's not an aparad or something. It's not that your doors back to Godhead will be closed. The thing is, then you should find some time where you can chant with concentration and peacefully. So one thing I always say to many devotees, this Harinam is something which is beyond all other considerations. When we sit and chant Harinam, we should be free of, everything which is unfavorable. Sometimes we are sitting in a group, and in a group, sometimes a devotee thinks I have to make a show of good chanting. And because one has to make a show of good chanting, therefore, in a group, what one does is, instead of focusing on the sweetness of Nam, one focuses on making a show externally. So, dear devotees, we have to free ourselves from all these external obstacles, because Nam is something which is the only thing which will give us perfection in the age of Kali. So when we chant Nam, we have to make Nam our best friend. It has to be our actual true friend. We have to consider it our personal best friend. Not that we have to consider it as an institutional requirement. When we sit down for chanting Harinam, it's not that, the institution says I have to chant 16 rounds, so now I am sitting down in the morning to complete my institutional requirement. If we are sitting with this mind, then it is all automatically burdened. 16 we will complete, but 16 will get completed happily if we are chanting in a manner which is, tasteful, abhiruchitam, and which is done with pleasure, without any needless rules and regulations. So I hope this satisfies your query.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
All right. So, but other extremes should also be avoided. Sometimes devotees are late in the night, sitting on the bed, they are chanting. So don't take undue advantage of this, because one of the aparadhs is inattention, pramadha. And that aparadh increases when we do such extremes. So, we should not take undue advantage of the merciful nature of Sri Harinam. All right, let's move ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranams. Thank you for such a beautiful session, Prabhuji. However, due to lack of my, brains or whatever, I have a few questions. Following up on Balram Prasad Prabhu's questions. So at this point, I'm still not a little clear if the japa which we are doing, and we've been told that we should be doing it aloud, so that you can hear. Is that classified as japa or, kirtana in that sense?
It is classified as japa mixed with kirtan.
Okay.
All right. If you do it purely in the mind, it is japa mixed with smaran. And if you do it silently, it is japa mixed with nothing else. I hope that
So in one sense, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra kind of breaks rules here and there a little bit, at least some ambiguity. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And
But what type of japa did Srila Prabhupada like?
Well, as far as I've heard, Prabhu, he said that it should be done loudly, so that you can hear, and others also, if somebody's around you, can benefit too.
Was he speaking about kirtan there or japa there?
I mean, at least from what I've heard from speakers, japa, Prabhu.
So let's take a reference directly from Srila Prabhupada's life. Mataji, will you read a paragraph for all of us?
Sure, Prabhu.
So it's on the screen, Mataji. This is from Satswarup Maharaj's book, You Cannot Leave Boston. Please read, Mataji.
Sure. What does Srila Prabhupada like? In order to hear the holy name distinctly, the devotees would have to vibrate some sound. In his purport to Adi Leela 1732, Prabhupada writes that chanting is simple, but it has to be taken seriously. He mentions how the lips should move and we should hear our own sound vibration. Prabhupada used the word silent to indicate soft. He did say, however, that loud or soft, our chanting should not disturb the spiritual master. Prabhupada became annoyed on occasion with his servants, secretaries, and other devotees for chanting too loudly when he was trying to work. When we chant, we have to learn to simultaneously attentive and considerate toward others. You cannot leave one.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, Mataji, Prabhupada used the word silent to indicate which type of chanting?
Soft.
Soft chanting. Mm-hmm. Now, if loud chanting is the best chanting, and then if 6 people are sitting in a circle, then Mataji, they should try to outshout each other. Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So let's say there is a Mataji and her husband sitting together. Then both of them should try to give the maximum benefit to each other. And that will happen when they try to, overpower each other's voice in chanting. So the purpose of Japa, Mataji, is to hear whose voice? One's own voice or somebody else's voice?
Our own voice, Prabhu. I mean, I think, as far as I've heard, Prabhu, the idea or the intention behind us hearing our own japa so that we can concentrate better and use all our senses, completely in the chanting process. So,
okay. Aparadhi in japa occurs when one doesn't hear whose voice, one's own voice or somebody else's voice.
I'm not clear on that one, Prabhu. As long as we hear the nama, I'm hoping it would work out.
Japa means, Mataji, to hear one's own voice. Mm-hmm. And kirtan means to chant loudly and to hear. Shravan is to hear somebody else's voice. Mm-hmm. Shravan is hearing somebody else's voice. When you are chanting and somebody else chants loudly, mm-hmm. you hear his or her voice. So what you are experiencing is Shravanam. Okay. But japa means you chant and you hear. That is japa. Traditionally, all japa has been defined in this way. Mano madhye sthito mantro, mantra madhye sthitam manah. Your mind should be situated in your mantra. Your mantra should be situated in your mind. That is japa. Now, if you try to perform loud japa, then it comes in the category of kirtan. Let's say, even if you are performing loud, still you are supposed to hear your own voice. That is what concentrated japa means. Now, let me clarify this in Prabhupada's own words. What was Prabhupada, what was Prabhupada trying to say? What was Srila Prabhupada's definition of japa? What is ideal japa? So I will share my screen again, Mataji, and you can read the conversation. Please read, Mataji.
What is ideal japa? Devotee. Prabhupada, when we first got to chant Hare Krishna, a way to concentrate is to just concentrate on the vibration. Should we try to strive for Prabhupada? No, concentrate on the vibration. Simply hear. It is very easy. If I say Hare, you can hear, even without concentration. It is so easy. Devotee, but Prabhupada, but if you hear attentively, that is required.
Very nice. So Mataji, yeah. So this is from a talk on Bhagavad Gita. So Mataji, whom should we hear?
Ourselves.
That is the conclusion.
Mhm.
That is what Prabhupada is also defining. I don't know what conclusions maybe some individuals are giving. It's crystal clear that japa means you chant and you hear your own voice.
Mhm.
That is japa. And if anything is distracting us from that, then it is causing a distraction in our japa. And distraction is one of the offenses in chanting japa.
Mhm.
Therefore, japa is ideally an activity where one chants upamshu softly so that one can hear oneself. Traditionally, I'm not speaking about after ISKCON was formed. Before ISKCON, in the Gaudiya Math or in Vrindavan 500-400 years ago, people used to perform japa as a solitary activity.
Mhm.
But japa was primarily a solitary activity back in Mahaprabhu's time. So we should keep those distinctions. Although nowadays devotees chant in a group and the purpose is to inspire each other, I understand. I don't contest that.
Mhm.
But japa still remains an activity where one has to hear one's own voice, and that will never change.
Sure, Prabhu. So what would you recommend? Because, we do have, like you mentioned now, that calls, where devotees get together and chant so as to get inspiration. Also, some devotees keep Prabhupada chanting in the background and chant to it. So effectively, I think even if I did that, I would be hearing others chanting more than myself. So is that a good process, or what would you recommend, Prabhuji?
I showed what Srila Prabhupada said. And on the
Mhm.
strength of that quote, which from Srila Prabhupada, I say that ideal japa is to hear your own voice.
Sure.
Because it is very important to hear one's own voice. Now, there may be a Zoom call, and I am not trying to trivialize Zoom call chantings here. But let's say there is a Zoom call and everybody is unmuted and everybody chants together. What will happen, Mataji?
I've experienced that, Prabhuji. It definitely does keep me awake, if that's an advantage. So, but listening to my own voice is compromised, at least a little.
Yeah. So even in a Zoom call, you have to hear one voice. Do you agree or not?
Absolutely, Prabhuji.
So if 200 people or 2,000 people are there on a Zoom call, still you have to hear one voice. Mataji, which voice is that going to be? Please tell me.
My own.
That's all. That's the traditional understanding, the Pakka understanding, which will help you in the past, which has helped everyone in the past, which will help everyone in the future, which will help you in the present without any trace of doubt.
Sure, Prabhu. Prabhuji, I have one more question. Is it okay to add?
Hey, I am here. No worries. As long as the organizers allow, I am here. No worries.
Sure, with their permission. So my other question was, I used to chant. I was trying to also understand how, what are the restrictions or the rules for chanting, like shlokas or stutis, or, for example, I was chanting Narsimha Kavacham. Like I used to usually chant it after work in the evening. But then recently I came across this article by an ISKCON devotee who said that this should be done first thing in the morning after bath and when you've not eaten anything, or it should be done in such a pure state. So then I was a little in one sense scared that if I did some aparadh in chanting Narsimha Kavacham at whatever time I was finding. So are there like these kind of rules and restrictions for like shlokas, or even like sometimes I also chant like Vishnu Sahasranamam, or like some shlokas like Lakshmi Ashtotram and things like that. So especially on festival days like that. So Prabhuji, would that be like an aparadh if I found time to just chant in the evening?
So the thing is, different stotras and kavachas have rules. For example, how do we know this? You see Narayan Kavach in Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayan Kavach says, you should be seated in one place, you should apply the mantra, all the aksharas of the mantra on the various joints of your body. So all those rules are given in Narayan Kavach. Similarly, different kavachas are there, and before the kavach starts, some kavachas may have some rules. There are many Narsimha kavachas, not one. So we'll have to see individually which Narsimha kavacha and whether the Shastra from which it was taken, it specifies some rules. Obviously, most of the Shastra specify some rules. So if that is there, then we should follow the rules ideally before chanting the kavacha, because those rules are expected from us. But no such rules are there in Nam Kirtan, Mataji. Would you like to chant Narsimha Nam Kirtan, Mataji?
Yeah, I would love to.
Right. So in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there is a very nice verse. Shri Kaur mein श्री शब्द पूर्वम जय शब्द मध्यम जय द्वयादुत्तरतस्तथाहि त्रिसप्त कृत्वो नरसिंह नाम जप्तम निहन्यादपि विप्रहत्याम 11th chapter verse 272. Shri shabda purvam, first there should be Shri. Okay. Jaya shabda madhyam, in between there should be Jaya. And Jaya dvayad, and there should be two Jayas at the end. Uttaratastathahi. So Mataji, in the beginning Shri shabda, in the middle Jaya, Shri Jaya, and at the end Jaya Jaya. Okay. And 3 sapta kritvo narsimha nama. And 21 times, 3 into 7 times. Okay. Apply Narsimha nama. So Shri Narasimha, Jaya Narasimha, Jaya Jaya Narasimha. I hope you are able to understand. And chant how many times? 3 sapta, 21 times. Shri Narasimha, Jaya Narasimha, Jaya Jaya Narasimha. Shri Narasimha, Jaya Narasimha, Jaya Jaya Narasimha. This is Nam Kirtan, Mataji. Narasimha Nam Kirtan.
Okay, Prabhu. We don't have to say the other line, Prabhu, Praladesha, Padma Mukha, that line.
The Hari Bhakti Vilas just says this.
Okay.
Right. So you can do this, or you can also add Praladesha Jaya Padma Mukha. But Papakshayartam, 21 times removes all sinful reactions. Mahabhaya Nivaranartham. And same thing, Shri Purvo Narasimha Dvir Jaya Uttara Susa, Trisapta Kritva. Same, same thing you do. It will also relieve Mahabhaya, the greatest of fears. So the purpose for which we were chanting Stotra, that purpose is also achieved by Nam Kirtan. So Shri Narasimha, Jaya Narasimha, Jaya Jaya Narasimha, Shri Narasimha, Jaya Narasimha, Jaya Jaya Narasimha, 21 times. Okay. All right, Mataji?
Yeah, that helps a lot, Prabhuji. Thank you. And the other question I had was, I was not a little clear on, how chanting, like you said, for inattentive chanting, Tishtan Vraje Tadanuragi Jananugami. So, I mean, kind of at least imagining that we are situated in Vraja or in the association of a more exalted devotee. How does that negate the aparad of inattentive chanting, Prabhu? I was not clear on that.
Because in his association, you are performing Sankirtan. So Sankirtan automatically means that there is audible glorification of Nam, and that chances of not hearing it or hearing inattentively are reduced. On top of that, you have Shraddha in that person. You have immense faith in that person. So you are being very attentive to whatever that person is saying, speaking, chanting, etc. You know that this opportunity has come after immense good fortune. So, plus you also observe the character of the sadhu. Simply by seeing the sadhu walk, seeing the sadhu talk, seeing the sadhu perform many activities, you are relieved of many of the aparadhas. Previously, somebody might have had so much faith in Shastra. By seeing the sadhu, we say, oh, this sadhu speaks from Shastra. So much faith in Shastra. So Shruti Shastra Nindanam, one of the offenses in Harinam is Shruti Shastra Nindanam, to criticize Vedic literature or literatures in pursuance of Vedic literature. So we stop that immediately. Tatharthavado. Well, sometimes we think, oh, glories of holy name are imaginary. They don't actually work. But then we see a sadhu in whose life actually he is experiencing Bhava Bhakti by chanting Harinam. oh, the glories were not false, the glories are 100% true. So one by one, you are getting relieved of all the nam aparads. Right?
So Prabhuji, even if, I mean, like you said, we have to have a complete faith that this person is a first-class sadhu you're chanting in the association with. Then even if we are not completely attentive, it purifies, is it? Like
Gradually, your purification has begun. Obviously, at some point of time, you will also have to become purified, right? It's not that, you will also have to fulfill the qualifications.
True.
So it's very important that we fulfill the qualification. It's not that, without fulfilling the qualification, you will be able to attain it. So I will specify one praman. This is from Prema Vivarta of Sri Jagadananda Pandit. In the Prema Vivarta, Sri Jagadanand Pandit says, Asadhu sange naam hai na. You may be associated with many people, but if they are asadhus, they are not really sadhus, then you will not be able to. Asadhu sange te bhai, naam nahi hai, namakshar bahirai, but a nama kabhu nai. Asadhu sange te, in the association of asadhus, bhai, oh brother, naam nahi hai. You will not be able to do naam kirtan. Namakshara bahirai. Yes, some syllables of the naam come out, but naam kabhu nahi. But that naam which transforms your heart and makes you experience bhav, that naam doesn't come. So in this way, so jadi karibe Krishna naam sadhu sanga kara. So I'm quoting that. Jadi karibe Krishna naam. If you want to do Krishna naam, sadhu sanga kara, doing the association of a sadhu. And bhukti mukti siddhi vancha, automatically your desire for enjoyment, liberation, etc., keep them away. And then dasha aparadha tyaja. And then that way give up your 10 aparadhas and tyaja man apaman, give up your sense of honor and dishonor. And anasakte vishaya bhunja. And even if you are having material enjoyment, be detached. Ar laha Krishna nam. In this way, take Krishna nam. So this is all in line. Whatever I said, chant in association with sadhu. This is by our acharyas. This is Prema Vivarta. I'm also specifying chapter number 7. The beginning of chapter number 7, all these things are given. Naam, bhajan, pranali. How to chant Naam. No? So this is all given right there in the Shastra.
Sure, Prabhu. So this nama is referring to Sankirtan, right? Because
Yes,
it's done.
Sadhu Sangha. You're chanting with a sadhu. So what is it?
Sankirtan. Okay. Sure. Thanks so much, Prabhuji, for patiently answering my foolish questions. Thank you.
No, questions are very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Omkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Prabhuji, I had a question regarding Sankirtan. As we know that Kirtan can be of 4 types of Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So can the same be applied for Sankirtan? And I had a question related to it. In the 64 limbs, first
Just
Rupa
one,
Goswami
just one minute. Let's take one question first. Is this the first question?
yes, true. Yes.
Okay. Just as we have Nam Sankirtan, can we have Rupa Sankirtan, Guna Sankirtan, Leela Sankirtan? That is the query?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Of course you can have. What is the Bhagavatam class? Nam Sankirtan or Guna Sankirtan?
Guna Sankirtan and Rupa Sankirtan.
And Leela Sankirtan. So Bhagavatam class is nothing but other types of Sankirtan. Also Bhagavatam also sometimes there is Nam Sankirtan.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, true. And in the 64 limbs, Rupa Goswami first mentions Sankirtan, and then at the ending, he will mention Nam Sankirtan. Same it is seen for the other 4 limbs. First, he will mention Vaishnavadaya Seva, but in specifics, he will say like what is the sadhu sang we should aspire for. So he's basically specifying, giving a qualification to it. So why is Nam Sankirtan stressed so much? Because in a general way, if we see, a mind can generally be more engaged if we are hearing something more, you can say, detailed. but sometimes Naam does not seem so much detailed. So what is the reason?
That Nam Sankirtan is emphasized by Sri Rupa Goswami?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Because Nam Sankirtan is also emphasized by Srimad Bhagavatam. Although Rupa Sankirtan, Guna Sankirtan, Leela Sankirtan are also there, they are the next stages of Nam Sankirtan. First and foremost, one comes in contact with Bhagavan Nam and one meditates upon Bhagavan Nam. And when one meditates upon Bhagavan Nam, then the Rupa of Bhagavan, then the Guna of Bhagavan, the Leela of Bhagavan, they open up. Prabhu, let's focus upon the form of Bhagavan. Let's focus upon the Rupa of Bhagavan. So, what is the form of Krishna? Can you give me some descriptions of the form of Krishna?
Prabhuji, it is Dvibhuja Akriti, like two-handed form, having a
Hey,
peacock like this.
you spoke a noun, Vibhuja Akriti.
Yes.
Say, give some more characters.
Shyam Sundar.
Oh wow, that's another naam.
Yes.
नामे प्रस्फुटित है रूप गुण कर्म नामे प्रस्फुटित है from नाम spring about रूप गुण कर्म everything is there in that shabda Brahma Nam, so therefore Nam is highlighted.
But Prabhuji, the sadhaka should have the perception of what the Naam signifies. For example, if a person, he does not know about.
Then he is mechanically chanting the Nam. Then who will tell him? Somebody should tell him. Hey, it's not for mechanical chanting. It's for tasting, aswadan. So
Yes,
that's
true.
what.
Yes, true. And Prabhuji,
So
I had one.
tell me one leela, tell me one quality without taking a Nam. Chalo.
It would be difficult. All the leelas.
Wow. So I hope the point is driven through. All right.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had a third question. When a person receives the second initiation mantras, so can a sadhaka, from the permission of a guru, chant a specific mantra more number of times than which is specified by Sanatan Goswami?
Yeah,
For
sure.
example, he
Kam
may chant
Gayatri
Gayatri.
is specified 10 times. The Guru can make the adjustment. Right?
Okay. Yes, sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Dandavat.
Very good.
Ananga Mohan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat, ma'am. Thanks a lot for such a wonderful class with such a clarity. Prabhuji, my question is very simple, but I am confused about it. Can you let us know what is the Yuga Dharma? Harinam Sankirtan or Nam Kirtan? Because as per Bhagavatam, that shlok, Tadhari Kirtanat, Kalo Yadhyayate Vishnu, that shlok. But the last shlok of the Bhagavatam stressed Harinam Sankirtan. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we heard many times Harinam Sankirtan. So
Right.
what is the Yuga Dharma?
The Yuga Dharma is described in general as Kirtan. If you are able to perform Kirtan without affecting yourself with Dash Aparadhas, then you are performing the Yuga Dharma nicely. But in many cases, it is not possible for a person to perform Kirtan while avoiding the 10 Aparadhas. Therefore, the Acharyas later said Sankirtan, and the Bhagavatam also in some places says Sankirtan. Sankirtan means Kirtan in association of sadhus. Not that Kirtan in association with two ruffians on the road. That is not what is intended by the meaning of Sankirtan. That is also Sankirtan, but ideally for improving in our bhajan, Sankirtan means in association with the sadhus. So that is what is most helpful, because that helps transform the character of the sadhaka, the association of the sadhu. So that is what is ideally desirable. So I hope that clarifies. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks, sir, for this. And one more clarification I need. Just like you are told to Shukha Mataji from reference from the Prem Vivarth, that Sankirtan should be performed in association with the sadhus. And many times it is not possible to be physically in the proximity of such sadhus. So whether we use the modern means like Zoom call, video and audio, and in that association by these digital technologies, we do Nam Sankirtan or Gunik Sankirtan in the association of such sadhu. Uh, whether this understanding is okay, if
Yeah,
it is physically not possible.
there's nothing. If physically it's not possible, then it's obviously you don't have another choice. If physically it's not possible, then it's okay to have an alternative. But the alternative should not become mainstream association. Because on a Zoom call, you cannot have 6 exchanges of love. Tadati pratigrihnati guhyamakyati pritchati bhunte bhojayate chaiva shadvidam prithila. Dadati, Anang Mohan, give me something.
Cannot. Physically cannot. Just convey from the heart.
Right. So therefore, Guhyamakyati, would you like to ask something from your private personal life in a public class?
No, not at all.
So therefore, personal association is personal association. All right. But blind uncle is better than no uncle. So Zoom is better than zero association. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Puri. Thanks a lot.
Gail Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just needed a little clarification about Sankirtan, because one understanding I got from the class is that Sankirtan means there has to be 3 people. Yeah. But then another understanding I got is that it's the association of an advanced, sadhu, right? Right. So if a person is chanting, let's say, one-on-one with a sadhu, on the one hand, it seems like that would not qualify because there's only 2 people. But on the other hand, it seems like it does because he's a sadhu. So confused.
Okay. So if there is only one, the sadhu and us. So obviously from Sri Jiva Goswami's definition, Bahubihi. Bahubihi means plural has to be there, and plural in Sanskrit is 3. Plural is not 2. In Sanskrit has a dual case and a plural case. So Bahubihi means it is plural case, so 3 have to be there. So from that definition, from the point of view of that definition, it will not be Sankirtan. But it is always nice to also have a sadhu and also have a co-student with us who is serving the sadhu. There is a reason for that, because in order to gain complete knowledge of a subject matter, there are 4 factors required. And those 4 factors are described in the Mahabharata. I will quote this verse from the Mahabharata. I will show this verse. And this verse is in the Mahabharata. It says, Kalena padam labhate tathartham, tatascha padam guruyogatascha, utsaha yogena cha padam richet, shastrana padam cha tato bhiyati. The brahmachari, basically the student, attains a quarter of the meaning of the Vedas by passage of time. So 1/4 is attained by passage of time, 1/4 by staying with the Guru, 1/4 by his own enthusiasm, and 1/4 by mutual discussion with other students. So you can attain 1/4 of realization, 1/4 of the complete meaning of the subject matter by staying with the Guru, 1/4 by your own self-study, 1/4 by discussing with a student. Sometimes the student understands something which we don't understand, and some things only with the passage of time. So similarly, when we are staying in the association of a sadhu, if a co-student is also there who is, like-minded to us, sajatiya, it helps us a lot, because sometimes we may be making a mistake in understanding what the sadhu is saying, and the other student understands it properly. So then we realize, oh, this person has truly understood. So that helps a lot. And therefore, Sankirtan means ideally glorification when at least 3 people are there, because that helps in a much better way as compared to having, direct one-to-one, only one-to-one. So that is what I hope this shed some light on your query.
Yes, but it seems like one-on-one can still be considered Sankirtan simply by the presence of the sadhu, is it?
One-on-one can still be completely helpful. I agree. Sri Jiva Goswami's definition says Bahubhi. So in Sri Jiva Goswami's definition says at least 3 have to be there. So one-on-one with sadhu it is considered as kirtan. It will help you remove all your offenses and you can achieve Krishna Prem, no doubt. It becomes very easy. The Sankirtan, because there have to be, one person who is glorifying and multiple people who are listening. That is what Sankirtan is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Ajay Govind Prabhu, do you want to go next?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandava Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Sri Prabhupada. Thank you so much again, Prabhu, for a wonderful session. I have a question regarding the solution you were talking about, the offensive chanting, that if somebody is doing offensive chanting, then the solution is more offensive chanting. Could you elaborate a little more on that? I could not.
No, I was asking a sarcastic
question.
I was asking a sarcastic question. Sometimes people say that the solution to chanting is more chanting. Have you not heard that, Prabhu?
Yes, I have heard that, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Well, now, do you agree one of the offenses in chanting Harinam is inattention?
Yes.
So, Prabhu, sarcastically I was asking. So, is it that the solution to inattentive chanting is more inattentive chanting?
No, the solution is to be more careful and try to avoid. So more chanting is needed, but more offensive chanting is not necessarily put in there.
All right. Yeah, because your offenses will start competing with your quantity. I hope I'm making it clear. So it should not be that more chanting should pile up more aparats. So the solution is very clearly given that Nam Sankirtan, and the Acharyas also tell us like Nam Sankirtan means in association with whom. So there are finer layers of explanations and that will help the disciple the most in quickly overcoming the aparats. And we will see practically in our lives. Practically, if we see in our lives that our aparats are going away, then we will know, yes, it worked for us. So that is what the sadhus have said. Practically, this is what is going to work. So therefore, the recommendation.
I've also heard about sometimes people giving the examples of like, if you have to swim, you have to jump in water. If you have to learn bicycle riding, you have to go on the bicycle, you will fall, and then you will practice and slowly, you'll be able to balance, because initially you may need the supporters, and then you will be riding without the supporters, and then if practice you are doing, there will be a time coming that you can leave the hands and still bicycle or stand on it or do gymnastic even. Does that logic also applies here, or chanting has a different
Therefore I'm a little careful in giving analogies which have not been given by our previous acharyas, because if I throw somebody in the swimming pool, there's also a good chance that he or she may drown. If I put someone on a bicycle and let them be on their own, there's also a chance that they'll fall in a ditch and get seriously hurt. So therefore, these analogies are good, but they are modern day analogies, and devotees sometimes like to give such analogies. But analogies should be framed after careful consideration of the Siddhanta. So what is the Siddhanta is that we have to, I showed from the Prema Vivarta, the Siddhanta is you have to chant in association with a Namanishta, Dhamanishta sadhu. That is that Sankirtan we have to perform. So that not only we chant loudly in their association, but we hear Harikatha from them, we gain their qualities, their persona rubs onto us. And then it becomes easy to free yourself from, from all the aparats. Otherwise, by our own, we are trying, then, Bahu Janma Kari Yadi Shravana Kirtan, Tabuta na Pai Krishna Pade Premathan. Many lives we are chanting, we are performing Kirtan, Bahu Janma Kari Shravan Kirtan.
Yeah.
That verse becomes applicable then. Many lives we do on our own strength. The guarantee is not there. But we want some guaranteed result. So guaranteed result Acharyas are giving. So that this is what, what is 100% going to work. That I quoted the previous Acharyas and told in the class. And now it may be difficult to find such a sadhu, but we have to take the difficulty, accept the difficulty and find such a sadhu and be in their association. Once we are able to do that, then everything else becomes quite easy. So this is my recommendation. I could have given you some other solution, like, chant with your back straight. But ultimately, it has to work, Prabhu. It has to work. So Acharyas have already given everything. So, and we don't need to do anything else. Vrindavan 24 hours, they were doing only this. And they have researched out everything. Their only business was to do all this research. And then I am in the 21st century, I am thinking I will do something which they have not done. So that's a mistake on my part. So therefore, I will just recommend what they have given. Follow the pristine highway, which has been prepared 500 years ago. Right?
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. And altogether a different question, but coming in from the same point where you said that analogies in the modern world are probably not very suitable, but when somebody is doing preaching, they try to give examples or analogies which relate to the audience. And also it is said that those analogies probably might not be 100% suitable. They are taken to that extent which makes the point clear, and other things which might be probably contradictory should be excluded. So the example of bicycle should be taken up, but the falling into the ditch could be excluded because that's an extreme case. So right. Is that true if one applies that principle while they are talking to audience, while trying to preach or indirectly trying to preach? Is it still okay?
Yeah,
Or I mean, definitely going to the shastras and previous acharya is the best, but
yeah, when we are speaking to new people, then you can use any technique to get them to chant. That's not an issue. And when they are new devotees, you can use some analogies to help them progress on their initial path in the few initial days. But Prabhu, you also know, and I also know that a time will come when they will feel stuck in their advancement. At that time, they will need the help of these traditional techniques, which are time tested and verified.
Yes.
All right. Yes, so Prabhu, the person who gives them the initial analogies, then the initial push, should also ensure that later he or she tells them that I told you this earlier, but that was to encourage you in beginning the process. Now, please hear what the acharyas are saying about the actual path of progress.
Makes sense. Right? Yeah, makes sense, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Prabhuji, we have 2 more questions.
Yeah, sure. As long as the organization, you are okay, Mataji, I'm okay.
Yeah, Prabhuji, 2 more it should be good. Dhananjay Prabhuji, sorry for keeping you waiting. You can start.
No problem, sir. In fact, thank you for taking my question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Karmat Pranam as usual, very helpful session. And I just wanted to share that I come from my native place is in Bihar, and there is like traditionally in my family, once a year we have Ashjam. Not sure if you have heard of that word, Ashjam. And I wanted to know whether Ashtajam. correct. So like 24 hours, it happens. It starts with Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So until I joined ISKCON, I did not knew, why we do it and technicalities. But all I know is that since day one, in my generation, in my family, this is happening every year, once a day. Now, what is that? Actually, technically, can you give me some more information? Like villages take a sankalpa of 1 week, like the whole village does it for a week, and there is a criteria that 7 or 5 villages should hear it with all the speakers, and it's very deafening who's near those speakers. So, would you give me if you are aware of the technicalities, how what those are?
See, I'm not from that part of India, but I have some idea of what is Ashtayam Kirtan. Previously, there was no mic, when the old tradition of Ashtayam Kirtan was there was no mic or something. People used to speak using their voice, sing using their voice. So many people who are not chanting the Maha Mantra regularly every day. So it's an opportunity for them once a year to come and hear Maha Mantra Kirtan and participate in the Sankirtan. So it benefits everybody. Ideally, it should be done every day. Not Ashtayam, but every day there should be Kirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to do that every day in Shri Navadvip. Udilo Aruna Purab Bhage, Vijamani Gaur Amani Jage, Bhakat Samuha Laya Sate, Gela Nagara Braji, Tathai Bajala Kol, Gana Gana Tahe Jajera. So Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari, Polena Bolore Vadana Hari. So he's chanting Mukunda Madhava Yadava, he's Abhiruchitam Nam. So this is Nam Sankirtan he's carrying out. So he was doing every day. But in other places, once a year it is organized and it is concentrated so that people get to hear once a year concentrated dose of the various names of Bhagwan. Sometimes it is Leela Kirtan, sometimes it is Gun Kirtan. So many various types of Kirtan go on. It's an opportunity for villagers to get together and listen, get Bhakti Sukriti as well as to advance in their devotional service. So that is the purpose of all these events. But one has to be, careful, attentive in hearing all this, and sometimes the loudspeakers spoil all the fun. So that is my answer to your query.
And the order, and which category would it fall? Like Ashjam, is it just a different word, or it's
What
still
is
a kirtan?
Yam is 3 hours. So what is Ashtayam? 8 into 3 is how much?
24.
That's right.
Okay, so and the sequence, like first it starts with Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Yeah,
And
yes.
Hare
So
Krishna. They say
yeah,
that Ramayan happened first, and that's why we do it, and then Mahabharata happened later. So it comes. That's what they gave me the answer when I asked them the reason.
Sure. See, that's okay. Abhiruchitam Nam, some people want Ram first. Abhiruchitam Nam, some people want Krishna first. Sampradaya to Sampradaya, people have different Abhiruchitam Nam. So we don't try to contest that or find out which one is greater or lesser. They're doing Nam Sankirtan, it's good. Better than blind uncle, better than no uncle. So if they're doing some Nam Sankirtan, it is very good. We should not try to judge or, see which is better, which is greater. In villages, let it happen according to village traditions. And if it is possible to tell them about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kirtan techniques, then well and good. Otherwise, don't disturb the existing arrangements. So that is what I would like to say.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
And Bhagavad Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataji, thank you. Hariparshad Prabhu, maybe you're in India, it might already too late, I believe. But anyway, sorry, I'll ask another question. When you came to Naperville, you answered this, but I forgot. The realizations from Harishauri Prabhu is really, it's something extraordinary. Because even the one which you said about the Harinam Kirtan, that's also very touching. Wow, what is special? Who is this Harishauri Prabhu? Why is he so special?
Really special for me. That's what I would like to say. He's very special for me.
Special for
because
me.
Yeah, I don't want to institutionalize him. I want him to remain an individual whom people accept voluntarily based on their choice. Sometimes I speak about him in devotee programs. He was a commentator on the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who appeared in the 19th century in Nasik, Maharashtra. He belonged to the Kirtan Sampradaya, Naradiya Kirtan Sampradaya of Sri Tukaram. And he had a very good sadhana, very strict sadhana. And by his sadhana, he got one darshan of Krishna in his life. And in that one darshan of Krishna, Krishna told him that because you are so learned, you know grammar, nyaya, mimamsa, he had mastered all the literature. So Sri Krishna told him, why don't you use all of this to write a commentary on the best literature that you love the most, Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna said, I will give you all the realizations in your heart. Just write a commentary on the Vrindavan Leela 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Likho. So Sri Hari Suri wrote his commentary of 4,700 verses approximately on the 10th canto, mainly the Vrindavan Leela of Srimad Bhagavatam. These verses are very cryptic, very, very cryptic. And it's amazing how it's superhuman. It's beyond ordinary human realization. Therefore, but I want him to remain an individual. I want him to remain an individual commentator, which devotees from the institution may voluntarily accept. Because if somebody, individually loves Sri Hari Suri's realizations, they may individually accept. And therefore, I'm trying to do something to bring his realizations to the world. I'm trying to translate his literature, Bhakti Rasayanam. And the first part of the translation is almost over. A few 4 or 5 verses are remaining, and the first part of Bhakti Rasayanam will be done. So pretty soon in Hindi, there will be the translation of the first 7 chapters of Sri Bhakti Rasayanam with Hindi translation and detailed explanation of all the secrets behind each and every verse. It has taken 2 years for me to translate the first 7 chapters because it was very difficult. And I hope that my taking birth in India will be successful if I am able to understand this literature and if I am able to translate it. So I pray for the mercy of all of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. May Shri Jiva Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Shri Sanatan Goswami, they all give their collective blessings because they are very broad-minded. They will definitely give their blessings to understand a work which is so closely and intimately related to Krishna Lila. So I, request their blessings and the blessings of all of you to carry out this work. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Prabhu. We always, all your classes end on a final slide glorifying Hariswari Prabhu. So today it is nice that towards the end, we again had an opportunity to hear about him. We have one quick last question again by Gail Mataji. Please start the time.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I wasn't so clear when you were saying just now that you want Hari Sari Prabhu to remain as an individual, and you brought in, versus something about the institution. I didn't understand.
Yeah, sometimes what happens is when we see our institution is a Gaudiya Vaishnava institution. Our ISKCON is a Gaudiya Vaishnava institution. And Sri Hari Suri is connected to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he's connected through Sri Tukaram. So which is not a connection through Sri Rupa Goswami, like we have in ISKCON. So when a speaker starts speaking some commentators' realization in an institution, then obviously people become interested and they ask, who is he? So he is a very sweet commentator, but from what I have read from his life that I have read, he was not much of a person who wanted to have, a big recognition in an institution. So he was very quiet person, and he was, he loved solitude. In fact, for 200 years, most of his teachings were not even discovered. So I would like to respect that aspect of him, because because sometimes what happens is we expose a person to the entire world, and then that person becomes like an institutional figure for most people. Like sometimes we turn a person into an institution. So I would not like that to happen with him. I would like him to be seen as a sweet individual commentator uh, by devotees, and devotees should voluntarily accept him if they love his realizations. So sometimes what happens is we make people into some acharyas are institutional figures. You must accept them, otherwise you are incorrect. So I don't want that to happen with him. Devotees should accept him if they genuinely feel that their hearts are being transformed by his realizations. So I think that is how he would like to be seen in the world in the future. So that is my intention behind saying that. I hope that clarifies.
Yes, it's very clear, Prabhu. I just want a little clarification too when you said that, his connection to our sampradaya is. You mentioned a difference between him and, let's say, Rupa Goswami. Was something in there? Do you remember?
He's connected through an acharya named Sri Tukaram, who appeared in Maharashtra. And it is, many devotees say that Sri Tukaram was initiated in a dream by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Mm-hmm.
So his connection is through Sri Tukaram. But our ISKCON Guru Parampara, the connection is through Sri Rupa Goswami. And therefore, I would, I just want to speak him in individual programs. It is not a big institutional arrangement where I promote him like that. Because I know that he would be most happy if I let people accept him voluntarily. I feel confident of that.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you, Prabhuji, for such a nice, very, you make us very happy, I should say. It was a very beautiful morning with you. Thank you so much. And thanks to all the devotees for joining us. Okay, we have another last minute raise hand. Do you want to take the question, Prabhu?
Sure, why not?
Achyuta Priya Arundhati Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Very wonderful class, Prabhu. Really, very much inspired. Got the inspiration, like in doing how to do the japa and all. Now, I heard one of your lecture, it was a year back sometime. No, but I'm just trying to recollect what you had said that time. Just like while doing japa, I'm trying really very hard to get the concentration while doing the japa, but my mind flickers here and there. Sometimes I don't beg for anything, but I just want to seek bhakti. That's what I keep praying. But I remember you saying something, Prabhuji, like when we chant the name of Hari, you have to think, say to Radharani that you are mine and I'm yours. Please give me shelter. Something like that you had said, Prabhu, in one of the lecture. I'm trying to do like that, but I'm not very sure what it is. Can you please explain on that?
From what I remember, I had explained what Srila Prabhupada's explanation of the Mahamantra is. So, O Radha, Hare, O Krishna, I am yours, please engage me in your seva. That is the basic meaning of Mahamantra that Srila Prabhupada gave. So, I'll have to hear if you have the link, you can send it to me, but this is what, and there was there's another lecture where I said, Krishna Tavasmi, Krishna, I am yours, with this feeling that, one should chant Bhagavan Naman. This is the feeling of surrender. Krishna Tavasmi. So Krishna, I am yours. So basically that I had elaborated upon that Krishna Tavasmi. I am yours, Bhagavan. So feeling that constantly is a very good, it's very helpful in all of one's activities. And I think it has to be one of these.
Probably the second one, actually, it was completely surrender. That I very well remember, but I don't know which lecture it was. So I even liked that so much, and even shared to some of the devotee friends also. Yeah, no, it was so, but I forgot now, like what.
So it is from that Chaitanya Charitamrit verse, which is actually from the Ramayana, Sakrideva Prapanno Yas Tavasmiti Chayachate Abhayam Sarvada Tasmai Tadami Tad Vratam Mama. This is Madhya 22.34. Sakrideva Prapanno Yas. Even if somebody surrenders and says Tava Asmi, I'm yours, we just say Krishna Tava Asmi. Abhayam Sarvada Tasmai Dadami. I'll give him all protection and fearlessness. Etad Vratam Mama. This is my vow. So I had explained this in that particular lecture, with the chanting with the feeling of Tavasmi, I am yours. So this is surrender basically, because it said Prapanna. Prapanna means one who is surrendered. So what does surrender mean? Surrender means Tavasmi, I am yours. So maybe this is the lecture that you were speaking about.
Yes, that is the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes.
Madhya Leela 22.34.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Thank
Now
you.
I would like to request one thing from everybody, that we all chant. Thank you very much. Jai, Jai. I would like to request everybody that we all, when the mic is open for everybody, we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once, without, having any mental blocks that, let's, for example, you have completed your 16 rounds, you are completely free. You are chanting with your own abhiruchi, with your own pleasure, and you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once in a complete abhiruchi manner. So this will be a very good thanks for me, dear devotees. So this is what I would like to end at. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Thank you, devotees. Chanting without burden is the best form of chanting. Thank you so much.
You are the real professor, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Jai.
भ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्री चैतन्य भागवत की जय हिज ग्रेस हरिपार्षद प्रभु जी की
Jai.
हरिनाम
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. The call here, dear devotee.